I'm frequently asked, what does a cybersecurity program lifecycle look like? It's best practice to have a year-long calendar of activities. Some of these things are going to repeat periodically. Some of them are only going to happen once a year. What I'm going to do is just going to draw a little diagram, and you guys get to see what that cybersecurity program looks like. So in a year-long calendar, it's best practice to do your risk assessment right in the beginning. This is actually a huge mistake many organizations make, particularly organizations where the primary person in charge of security is a technologist. The typical perception they have is that they want to work all year and then they want to do their assessment at the end when they're feeling really good about where things have gotten to. But that's actually not best practice. And if you do it that way, you're going to find it's really difficult to get to that place where you think everything's done. And also, you're not going to be meeting the industry requirements for risk assessment. Best practice is to start your cyber program management with a risk assessment. In that process, you're going to be looking for gaps. You're going to find vulnerabilities. It's gonna create you that list of things they need to get done, and it's gonna create a roadmap. I love doing 2-year roadmaps. The first year roadmap is what we know we're gonna do this year. These are the priorities. And then you have your stretch goals. You're probably not gonna get to them until next year. And you're gonna do another risk assessment before you really work on those next year items. But when you're in your this year, you're gonna start out with that risk assessment, and it does depend on the organization and how much rigor they want to put into this. You can do a gap analysis exercise in a few hours that goes through even security standards with hundreds of requirements. You can do that in a few hours. What you're not going to be able to do in a few hours is really flip over all the rocks and see, hey, is everything working the way it's supposed to? And you're definitely not going to be able to produce evidence. So from the perspective of what's normal, even in a small company, it could be anywhere from a few hours to a few months to go collect all that data, put it together, understand what your gaps are, and create that 12-month roadmap. Then what? What do you do after that? Well, let me give you an example of 2 things that every organization has to do if they're following best practice. The first thing they need to do is continuous vulnerability management. And that's not something you do once a year, once a quarter, even once a month is really not as frequently as you really need to do this to catch those emerging cyber threats. Ideally, you're doing vulnerability scans every day of the year. But then as a technical team, once a month, you're looking at that list and you're looking, what did not get patched automatically? Why? Why is this software out of date? What are the underlying issues? Hopefully, you're not playing whack-a-mole, erasing one vulnerability, one vulnerability, one vulnerability, one vulnerability. You will never get through it all. You really want to look for those root causes, and through the course of the year, you will find that things get cleaner and cleaner. And by the end of a year of practices of doing that continuous process, seeking out those root causes, you're going to be a really hardened target. It will be difficult for attackers to get in there. There's other things that need to happen on a regular basis. If you're like most small organizations, you've got different software installed on every single employee. They all have different requirements. You have someone that has the Adobe Creative Suite. You've got someone else that has a layout tool. You've got people that have specialized databases on their computer, specialized pieces of software. And the reality is, once in a while, the organization needs to sit down and look at that list and say, what can we remove from this environment? Now, best practice is not to just remove the things that shouldn't be there. It's to look at every single piece of software. And let's say you're doing that 4 times a year. After each one of those authorizations, you're going to look at what's not authorized, what does not have a business purpose, and you're just going to remove all of them. Now, that isn't to say that you need to remove Spotify from the environment. It can keep people productive, right? But you do want to make sure that they don't have some ancient version of VLC video player and they're using pirated movies and music and it's got malware in it, right? The IT team needs to get involved to make sure they keep that hygiene. So, those are the types of things that go into a formalized cybersecurity program, and that's how you build your life cycle.